It all began with a couple of margaritas at El Paso and ended with me grabbing a nurse by the collar and crying, "This baby is trying to come out of my butt!" When we saw the blue plus sign, it was Mother's Day 2011. My husband had the flu, and I pulled him out of a feverish haze to say, "I'm late. I'm still late. It's time to take the test." We both stepped into the bathroom to see the results. Our tiny bathroom, so small you can't close the door with 2 people inside, let alone 3. There was the blue plus sign, a small, unassuming blue plus sign that carried so much weight. I started flapping my hands in an effort to rise above that tiny, crowded bathroom. The thing is, we wanted a baby. I wanted a baby. And we tried for a baby. Once. One time. Knowing that if it happened, great. But one time, that's like sticking your toe in the pool of fertility. I assumed we had months of romance, many margaritas. I assumed we had time. Time to prepare. Time to read what to expect when you expect to be expecting. For God's sake, I hadn't taken one prenatal vitamin. What we had wasn't just a blue plus sign. We had a baby who was so ready to be ours, it just took once. When I escaped the tiny bathroom with the blue plus sign, I started to cry. I kept crying for 3 days. I cried over everything: the staggering responsibility that I was growing a human being, and the knowledge that for a while I probably shouldn't eat too many red Swedish fish. I cried thinking about myself no longer as the child, but now the parent. And I cried because my body was getting used to another human being living inside it. As my doctor later told me, "I love these hormone levels, wonderful indicators of a healthy pregnancy. You must feel terrible." Hindsight really is 2020, or at least 2015. And looking back, the intensity of the feelings I had in that tiny bathroom are similar to the feelings I have had at every major junction in my life. Before I can move, let alone celebrate, I need to experience a short moment of grief. I need to feel sad, no matter how wonderful the change. I need to cry for what was, because it is no more. After my 3-day crying spell, it seemed as though I had accomplished a sufficient enough cathartic release. I was finally calm enough to be still, to be together, and I became aware of a soft hum, a small vibration within. My new reality became one of togetherness, growing joy, love, hypersalivation, and vomiting. All the love that was building inside me came out most mornings when I brushed my teeth and many evenings when I pulled into the driveway after work. Our rose bushes never looked better. Always the planner, it didn't take long for me to kick into action. Within a few weeks, we were signed up for prenatal visits, yoga, acupuncture, and natural birthing classes. Baby registries were compiled and condensed, categorized and edited with red, green, and black pens. I was going to be ready. I would know the stages of labor. Sex-neutral clothing would be washed and hung, and I would be ready. When Nash arrived on a cold January night, and when the nurse assured me that he was not, in fact, coming out of my butt, he was not what I expected. He was big and long and strong and full of greatness. He came out, eyes wide open, and stared me straight in the face. When I saw the curve of his chin, I knew him. Then he screamed, and when he was placed on my chest, and I talked to him and touched him, his screams hushed to hums and new breath, and he knew me. Thanks to my planning, we were ready with the tools we needed for early parenthood. That child's bottom was spick and span, swaddled and swooshed. His cries were swung and shushed, and never has there been a happier baby on the block. What's most amazing to me, though, is how ready I felt the moment he arrived. When meeting Nash for the first time, a friend said to me, Isn't it incredible to think it was him all along? She was right. Looking back on my growing belly, I saw his face cocooned inside. Standing in that tiny bathroom, I no longer saw a blue plus sign, but an invitation, extended by his tiny hand. It seemed like even my past had been rewritten. Sometimes I think about life before my son. I remember it, but I can't say that I understand it anymore. I can't wrap my head around the fact that the sun rose every morning before he was here, that I would drive in my car, eat pasta, walk in snow, all in a time and in a place without him. Motherhood comes upon you fast, but it's a slow saturation, thick and full and permanent. A mist that coats your skin and fills your lungs and absorbs into every living cell. It will cover you, no matter how ready or not you think you are.